Okay. Hi, good morning, folks. My name is Pramela. I'm a Diamond Level Leader with doTERRA International, and I want to thank you for joining me today. This is a series of Zoom calls that is designed for us to just come together in a meeting of the minds and a connection of the spirit to talk about our week and maybe have a discussion on something that might be resonating and vibrating through all of us as a question or something that we need to discuss. So right before we started recording the call today, we kind of talked with some of the participants and attendees of the Zoom call, and I think it was a unanimous vote that we need to talk about accountability. So I guess let me begin. Accountability is huge. It's a huge factor, not just in your doTERRA business, but I think in every aspect of your life. Accountability begins with us. And a lot of times we look at accountability as an outward expression. You know, if I say I'm going to be there, I will be there. If I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. If I say that I am going to be something, I will be that. And just because we do those things, then we expect those things to be mirrored back to us. That's fair, right? But accountability is something that doesn't happen just because you say it. It doesn't happen just because you want it. Accountability happens when you understand, you know, going back to last week, who you are, because accountability looks different for everybody. For some people, accountability is a quiet stance. For other people, accountability is something that they need external support for. It all depends on where you are. It all depends on what you're doing, and it all depends on the season you're in. Please understand that sometimes your mode of accountability may need to change as you change. It may need to change as what you're trying to do changes. And accountability can look different depending on what you might need at this time. So on one hand, accountability could look like, while you're building your business and you're in the season of movement, accountability looks like you doing all the things you need to do to move. And sometimes when you're in the season of healing and rest and restoration, accountability looks like self-care, personal time, being with your family, being present. Accountability can also look like what you're going to do from this point on, making plans, making goals, because you are responsible for the fabric of your future. So let's talk about accountability. There are many systems, there are many ways that you can tangibly set yourself up to be accountable. The calendar and schedule making industry, I think, is a multi-million-dollar industry, from software to apps to calendars and diaries. And if you're like me, you're guilty of having shopped for that perfect calendar, that perfect scheduler. And, you know, you buy all your pens and all the things, and you have this plan. And some years you're awesome at it and you like write everything down. And then some years, you know, you just don't. I know people who will buy that same calendar year after year because that was the calendar, that was the magic, that was what made them accountable that year. That was what kept everything in check for them. But at the end of the day, you do realize that it's not the tools that you have that make you accountable, it's whether or not you want to be accountable. That's important. Because no matter what, if you are not ready for being accountable, then that's when you're not going to make those changes, no matter how amazing that calendar is, no matter how amazing that mentoring program is. If you don't step up and you don't decide to step up, then none of that matters. So that brings me back to some of the things that I think we struggle with in this business. You know, when we talk to someone and we share oils with them, and they appear to love the oils and they're ready to sign up and they want to sign up, and they communicate to us that they're ready. You know, I'm ready, let's go. And then all of a sudden, when it comes time to filling out the form or getting online and getting the membership going, they don't sign up, or they have some other reason, or something pops up. Now, you have to understand that that is also a reflection of accountability, perhaps accountability on their end. because maybe they're not ready for that change in their life. They love the oils. They want it. But if they buy it, now they're accountable for actually using it, isn't it? And if they're not ready for that step, then they're not going to be ready to buy, even though they have told you that they want it, that they are ready. Now, how about with your builders or the people who may tell you, oh, I'm not interested in the business. Now, what does that really translate to? What it really translates to is I don't want the accountability of what that means. I don't want you to hold me accountable for the words that I have just spoken, the intentions that I have just presented. I don't want to do the things that I have to do in order to do that. So that is something that I think is important in understanding this whole concept of accountability. It's not just, oh, I'm going to say this, and so therefore I'm going to do it. It is also, when you understand how the dichotomy and the psychology of accountability works in your brain, you will be actually able to understand what people actually mean when they say the things they say. And it is good. It is freeing. It gives you clarity. You know, so when you have a builder who says, oh, you know, I don't want, you know, I'm happy at silver, or I just want to have enough, I would just want to make enough income to pay for my oils and maybe a little bit of extra pocket money. You know, I'm not really aspiring for diamond or platinum or blue diamond. What do they mean in terms of what we're talking about today, which is accountability? It is that they don't want what they perceive to be the things that they're going to have to be responsible for. This illusion or this perception that if they hit a certain rank, that means that they have to live a certain way, be accountable to all these people, be accountable and have to give up their time. You know, almost 100% of the time when people call me, they start the conversation by saying, hey, Pram, I'm sorry. I know you're busy. How do they know that? They assume that just because I'm a diamond, or maybe on a smaller scale because I'm a single mom, that I am frantically busy. And sometimes that bothers me a little bit because it's not that I'm not busy, but it's not that I'm so busy that I don't have time for them. That's not true. You know, you know, it's almost as if they have this assumption, oh, I know you're so busy. So if that's the perception, would people want that accountability of hitting that rank? And then once they hit that rank, are there people who get spooked by it? So accountability, I think, is something that is very important, and understanding that accountability isn't just about being busy. It's not just about doing things. It's not just about you know, a checklist and making, you know, getting things done. I think accountability is going back to what we talked about last week, is being true to who we are, and being true to who we want to become, and true to being the changes that we want to make, and then true to being so clear and so present in our moment that we know what we need to do today. So some of the things that I have found that have been challenges for me in terms of accountability is results. You know, I try to be accountable on many levels. You know, I think the thing that first and foremost that is most important on my accountability list of priorities and on my accountability self and to my children. And I say myself, especially, and I want to say that now because, you know, of the time of year, the season, right? It is back to school. And so as parent, and I see that most of us are, you know, moms or, you know, caregivers. And so when we look at that, what does back to school accountability look like to you? I'm pretty certain that back to school accountability looks like, hey, I need to get my school supplies for my kids. I need to get them scheduled into school. I need to get my calendar in place. I need to plan my meals. I need to make sure I'm organized. They need to be clothed, and so on and so forth. And it's all this tangible list. It's a checklist. Done, 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 done. Now, what about the accountability of making sure that you are prepared to be there for them? And so if you are the center of their success in that school year, do you consider yourself the success of the center of their school year? And if that's the case, then in your checklist, as you put together all the things that you needed to get done for your kids to go back to school, did you include yourself? Did you include yourself? Did you include that one of the things in that checklist has to be you? How well you feel, how good you feel about yourself, and whether or not you're taking care of you. Because I can tell you that the quality of my children's lives is so dependent on the quality of mine. My children suffer when I suffer. My children hurt when I hurt. My children are tired when I'm tired. The quality of the life of my kids and the quality of their school year suffers when I suffer. So when you're putting together and you're looking at accountability, please free yourself. Take that. Accountability is such a heavy word. Doesn't it feel like this weight? And it's almost as if you have to brace yourself to be accountable. I'm going to do this and I'm going to be accountable. And it is it is effort. How do you make accountability effortless? It becomes effortless when you go down to the smallest common denominator. What is the smallest, most important thing that makes accountability effortless? It's joy. It's joy. Accountability doesn't need to be a weighted thing if you find joy in the things that you put in importance of the things that you need to do. So if on your accountability list for your business, it is, I need to make my names list. I need to contact all these people. I need to call these people and get them on LRP. I need to speak to my leaders. I need to schedule classes. Take each one of these items and turn them around. Turn them in the palms of your hands and hold them close to your heart and evaluate how they make you feel. And if it is an uncomfortable activity, and if it's an uncomfortable thing that you have to do, then I'm not saying don't do it. Let's discuss, how are you going to find joy in the things that you need to do to be accountable? So I'm going to pause for a second because I've been ranting for a bit, and let me just reflect back to you. And can you give me some feedback on what you think of what I've said so far? Because I've got a few more things that I think will kind of put this all in place. But I want to see where you are with what I've said. So can I come back to you, Catherine? Catherine, can you tell me what you think about what has been said so far?
Well, I think the accountability to yourself, I really like that. I think that's important. As I was thinking about it, I think when I'm accountable to other people, especially to strangers that I don't know, like if I had my best friend in the challenge with me, I probably wouldn't work as hard. But when it's with people I don't know, who I want to be able to help, I don't want to let them down. I don't want to let other people down, and I don't know. I just want to do my best for other people. So I kind of think being accountable to other people, and then of course my family too, my kids, I don't want to let them down. I want to be able to support them and give them what they need. And I kind of like what you said about don't assume that people are busy too, because I actually just did that yesterday with someone and they got upset with me. But yeah, and I think sticking to the basics is important. And I don't know, I'm kind of rambling now. But.
No, you're not rambling. You're not rambling at all. I just want to kind of circle back, and I just want to be. I don't want to lose what you said there. About how being accountable. Sometimes, the cloak it wears is I don't want to let other people down. And accountability means that, when somebody expects something from me, I'm more likely to do it because I don't want to let them down. And that's normal. And that's human nature. That's how we've been programmed to be from the time that we had parents, right? Like all children want to make their parents happy. We've got that puppy dog thing about us, like, say I'm a good girl, say I'm a good kid, say you're proud of me, say you love me. What do I need to do for you to say that? When we were children, that's how we were. And so as adults, that pattern, that pattern of being is there. Now, what happens now when you are accountable to someone and they disappoint you? Let me ask you, what happens to your accountability then, Catherine? How will that affect your accountability if you are accountable to someone and they're not accountable to you? Say you go into this business in doTERRA, you count on accountability, right? You put people in leadership positions and you are accountable to them and you expect that accountability to be reflected back to you. So now what happens if you're doing this and your accountability looks like, hey, I'm doing this so I don't disappoint you, but then they disappoint you. Now what happens to your accountability to them? What have you done?
I think I would feel really disappointed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you feel disappointed. Now walk through it. They have you've been accountable to them and they're not accountable to you. Now, how are you going to respond? What is your reaction going to be?
I lose that trust and I lose that connection with that person.
And then what becomes of your accountability to them?
It disappears.
Uh-huh.
So then, I don't know.
And then who hurts?
Both of us. Everyone.
Yep. Try to get a little bit more specific. Who hurts most?
Probably myself.
Why?
Because I don't have that support that I was looking and depending on, and I don't know, I guess things would probably just fall apart from there.
Okay. All right. Let me just push in just a little bit, because you're my favorite, right? So I have to push in just a little bit. So you say that, that accountability is lost because, they've disappointed you. But maybe that accountability is lost because now you've let go of yourself. If you do things because it's true to who you are, because you are accountable to you, nothing anyone does or doesn't do will change you. Nothing anyone does or doesn't do will change you. So let me paint a picture for you. Okay? This happens to me a lot, and I love it. I don't care. I have a pattern of inviting people into my life and, welcoming them into my family, being very hospitable to them, and they turn around and they hurt me. They hurt me. So let me give you a very specific example. I had someone who I was friends with, or I was trying to help, and they were always welcome in my house, fed them all kinds of great things, and then they turned around and made it seem, and just kind of like disappeared off the face of the earth with a lot of my stuff that they had borrowed, a lot of my stuff. And I was, what? Okay. So, very gently, I'm like, hey, how are you doing? Where are you at? I kind of need that thing that you have. And, they kind of made it seem as if, what? I thought you gave that to me. And it was like, what? I didn't. So now the thing is, I was accountable to them as a friend, and I helped them, gave them all the things that I felt they needed and I could give. And then they broke that trust and my expectation of their accountability to me in being respectful and honest and gracious. And they were none of those things. And in fact, they made me feel as if I wronged them, right? So how would that have changed me if I did all of that because I felt accountable to them? I didn't. I did it because it was true to me. It was true to who I was. So then what happens is the next person that comes into my life who might need my help, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to have to be more careful because, if you give too much to people, they will take advantage of you and they will hurt you. And what has happened? I have compromised on my compassion. I have compromised and diluted the truth of who I am. Now, when I give people stuff or I am a certain way with someone, it is my accountability. It's not because I expect anything back from them. Catherine, I came to Culpeper in Virginia. You guys are not part of my team at all. I am not accountable to you. Am I? I'm not accountable to you guys. But I came. And you guys are not accountable to me. Yeah, you don't owe me anything just because I came to teach a class for you. Did it because of I am who I am. And my accountability to myself said, if someone calls and wants me to come and speak because they feel that what I have to say has value to them, I will go. That's my accountability. So I guess maybe I'm not doing a very good job, or maybe I kind of am, in expressing to you that when you write down and you understand this concept of accountability, always bring it back to you. Because the act of accountability is hard and it is weighted. It is weighted. Accountability is a list of things to do. It is going to take you out of your comfort zone. It is going to be the check and balance against how successful or unsuccessful you've been in completing your task with, medals or checkpoints or rank or whatever it is, accountability looks like. But if your accountability stems and roots from who you are, it will become unshakable whether or not you get the results you're looking for and whether or not someone else fails you. So here was my response, and it's not the first time I've had this response, to the people who have been unaccountable to me or who have been ungrateful to me. My response always, whether I say it to them or I say it to myself, is that who you are or are not will not change who I am. I will not change because of how you treated me. Does that make sense? Can you guys raise your hands? Let's talk about this for a bit, because this is important. Because if you don't understand this and you don't take this and armor yourself with this belief, it will be easier for you to feel defeated. And feeling defeated is a choice. I'm going to take that choice and ask you if it's an important one. So let's talk about that for a second, shall we? Can you guys raise your hands? Can we discuss this? Okay. Let's go. You're up.
Hi.
Oh, sorry. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
I wanted to come back to what you said about finding joy, because for me, once I understood that there's a gift in every situation, whether that's a good situation, like from the outward perspective, whether it looks like a good situation or a bad situation, every situation, whether somebody treats me well or somebody doesn't treat me well, there's something for me in that situation, something that I can learn or something I can do better the next time. So I will allow that situation to change me, but I will not allow the situation to change me for the worse. I will allow it to change me for the better. I'm just trying to take the good things out of it and learn what I need to learn and then move on from there. But I'm not allowing people any longer to drag me down with them.
Okay, excellent. So it is the concept that we talked about, that everything happens for you and around you, and nothing happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. Victory. That's right. Yes. All right, Tony, good morning. Hi.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
I see just the top of your head, Tony.
Yeah, I know.
That's okay.
I have to work on that.
That's okay.
Maybe you don't want to see me. I just got back from Jazzercise. I'm a little sweaty.
I always love seeing you, Tony.
Well, what I was going to say is I think it's hard for us, all of us, to this concept, because you have to know yourself. You have to know what is essential to you. Just for instance, it has nothing to do with doTERRA, but so I've been having it's a very difficult beginning of the school year for lots of reasons. There's been cuts in funding and higher expectations, so there's a lot of pressure on all of us that work in the school systems. And so somebody who's a very dear friend of mine keeps saying, well, you have to find a way to have less stress. Maybe you need another job. You need to look for something else. And I said, well, you know, I'm going to be 65 and I love what I'm doing. And maybe I do need a different job, but it isn't to go work for Pepsi because they pay $16 an hour. And I said, well, why not? It's $16.50 an hour. It's, you know, more than you're making. I said, because it's not a company that fits my values. I have to feel in everything that I do, in all parts of my life, that I'm true to my values. So I think, and that's another way of looking at accountability. You're being accountable to yourself because you're being true to what is most important to you.
Yes, absolutely. Being congruent and being authentic, that is living life undiluted. You know, it's, you know, sometimes it's bitter because it's undiluted, but it's good. Right? You get the bitter, the salty, and then you get the sugar, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, you can't always explain it if you're dealing with people who aren't on that same level of their journey through life, right?
Yeah.
But you need to, I think each of us need to get to that point where we live ethically on all levels, and so that we deal with ourselves and with the people in our lives and the situations in our lives the same way.
Right.
Always on that.
So it keeps coming back to that same thing that we talked about last week. Know who you are.
Yes, know who you are, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you so much. I can't wait to see you next week. Yay.
I can't wait to see you too.
Yes. Sandra, let's go to you. I'm ready.
Okay, so I haven't felt more at ease and at peace since we spoke a few days ago, and you shared that well, I was actually last week. You also touched on it about the orange. You know, you are who you are, and I will not compromise my boundaries and who I am for anything or anyone. I know exactly who I want to be, and I know that I also need to respect people for who they are. So when someone shows you who they are, believe them and respect that. Don't I want to help so bad that I'll do anything and everything possible to help. But people need to be ready, and they actually need to want the help. So I was just burning myself out, you know, because I can help. I have the tools, like I have all the answers. But if that person isn't in a place mentally to make the changes and to see that what they're doing is wrong, it's not working, and that I can help them, it's just a waste of time. And who am I taking that time away from? What if there is somebody out there that really is looking for help and is ready for it? And here I am, trying to fit a triangle into a square, right? What if there's another triangle out there looking for me, like, please help me? So that is what I got from what you said, and I love the feedback from everybody else, especially when it comes to, I guess we're all trying to do the best that we can, and I find myself asking a lot, like, am I doing enough? And when I pressure myself so much, then I suffer, and then what you said is so powerful, your children suffer, and so that's why I decided to disconnect the next couple of days. Like, it's not the end of the world. My team isn't going to collapse. My organization isn't going to collapse. I don't have to do doTERRA 24/7. It's just, that's not logical. And that's it.
Very good. Very good. And, Sandra, first and foremost, if your doTERRA team were to hypothetically collapse, guess what? You're a scrapper. You build it up.
Yeah, I love when you said that. Yes, I love when you said that this week. Like, I'm a scrapper. I'm like, me too.
Yeah, right?
Come on now. Like,
it's okay. It doesn't matter.
Yes, it's all good. Yes, we just.
Oh.
Elephant. It's just so crazy. Like, oh my gosh, like, chill out.
Absolutely. And
thank you.
You're welcome. I love you. And
thank you. I love you too.
So let me just kind of translate what just has happened. All right. So what is accountability for real? Accountability starts with you. Always. Everything on your list, you need to find a way to make it about you. Accountability begins with me. And the truth of my accountability looks like how I will honor you, companion you, respect you. Accountability isn't affected by whether or not my efforts toward you is mirrored back to me or not. Because my accountability to myself is so strong, nothing that has failed in my efforts to reach a goal will affect who I am. That is how strong my accountability to myself is. That's kind of like a really raw and unrefined translation of what we're talking about today. So I'm gonna just kind of put a pause button on that thought, and I'm gonna give you guys one more thing here. It's this whole concept of doTERRA ranking. There are ranks that buy in, and I want, to honor Sandra, for her statement on how she did not buy in. And what that buy-in concept is that when you're at a certain rank and you come really close to that next rank, that you are allowed within a certain dollar amount to, buy that rank, buy into that rank. And there are a lot of leaders who do that because, it's a check and balance, right? But, and for me, I, have seen it done. I have done it on a very small scale every once in a while. But here's what I want to maybe put on the table for something for you to think about, because you're all heading, in that direction of growth. Do you remember the first time that you hit a rank, be it director or executive or elite, when it mattered? For me, the first time I hit silver, I didn't even really know what it meant. I didn't. I hit silver and everybody was like, all right, you hit silver. I'm like, yay, awesome. And I continued with life. It didn't change me. I did it. Nobody bought in or got me to silver. I did it. right? I did it with my team. And the following month when we got paid, my diamond upline, who I love dearly, Brian Hess, called me on the 15th. It was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and he called me. He goes, "How excited are you? How does it feel? You got your check?" I'm like, "I don't know." Because I hadn't checked. I was working. I had gone and done like an aroma touch for someone, and I was on my way home. I was thinking about groceries and scared because I had to pay bills. And he's like, "What do you mean you haven't checked? I've been hitting refresh, all day." I'm like, I've got things to do, So he's like, "I'm going to be on the phone with you until you log in." And so he waited because I was walking home. I didn't have a car. So I walked. It was like we were talking, and while I was walking home, I got home, kicked off my shoes, went and logged into my computer, logged into my back office, and I was waiting for it to load up. And I sat there and I stared at the number, and I'm like, "I think there's a mistake. It can't be true. I don't understand these numbers." See, what had happened was that all 3 of my legs had hit elite at the same time. And here's a little secret, an untold secret. Every time when you hit silver and you have your legs hit elite, you get an additional $150. So I had built my team so beautifully and so evenly that all 3 legs hit elite at the same time. So the silver bonus was no longer $150. It was $150 plus 3 legs of $150. Do the math, right? That in itself was mind-blowing. And here's something else crazy that happened. The previous month, I had gotten my 3rd level power of 3. And so that kicked in. When I saw that amount, that dollar amount, $1,500, plus $150 for hitting elite, for hitting silver, plus $350 checks for each one of my elite legs, plus unilevel. Guys, I sobbed. He was on the phone with me while I cried and cried and cried. And I said, "Oh my God, that's rent and everything I need for the month. Everything." When you buy rank, you're stealing this victory from someone. Don't do it. Don't. Not for the first time anyway. That first time that you hit a major rank, it changes you. I went from thinking that I was a worthless mother, a failure as a human being. I was so disappointed in my life. This thing that everybody said I was doing great at with doTERRA, I was waiting to fail. I'm like, yeah, I do good with things for a while and then I fail. So don't hold your breath, guys. Don't elevate me because I will disappoint you. That was what I was thinking. When I hit silver, it was like a cannonball that was launched and I was never going to be contained again. It was like toothpaste getting squeezed out. I was never going to be the same again. You were never going to be able to put me back in. And then I coasted silver for 2 months and then said, yeah, this is not fun anymore. Let's go. And I hit gold in another 2 months, 4 months, from silver to gold. I went from silver to gold in 4 months. And again, my upline called me and he goes, you are $150 away from gold. What are you doing? I'm like, we'll see. And then he called me and he goes, you hit gold. You hit gold. And I was on the road on my way to convention, thinking that I was going to walk convention as silver. But I got to Utah. When I left Wisconsin, I was silver. When I got to Utah, I was gold. And my account manager, it's like, you hit gold. And I'm like, yeah, I hit gold. And he goes, you're walking gold. I walked gold. That victory, don't steal it from anybody. It's not worth it, no matter what. That is your accountability in making sure that you don't steal that moment that will change someone's life. Don't steal it from them. That's your accountability. Any thoughts on that, guys? Sandra, can I ask you? Let's go.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's very beautiful because I did that. I stole somebody's moment, and it's one of my best friends, and she is very grateful for it because financially she really needed it, but in the end it wasn't worth it. So we're in this for the long run. If she was just in this to make quick money and whatever, then fine. But this is not a short-term investment. This is a long-term investment. And doTERRA, what I've found with every rank that I've reached, you have to work more on yourself. You have to work harder on yourself than the business. And you will move up to the next rank when you've done the work to deserve that title. You can force it in many different ways. One of them is the most popular way is buying it in. And it's hard because a lot of things come into play, you guys. Like, what if somebody's been busting their butt and they deserve, like, for you to give them that push and that nudge? It's all very, it's all case by case. It's just in general, just pump the brakes and really think about what you're going to do. Because we have to hold ourselves accountable for our choices, because if we ignore it and we don't hold ourselves accountable, it'll come back. It'll show up. Sooner or later, it will come back to rear its ugly head. And so, like in everything in life, why are you about to do this? When you're going to do something, you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? How am I doing it? Who is it affecting? How is it affecting them? It's pretty deep, I know. It gets, and the higher up you get up in these ranks, it gets like, it's because there's so many people, counting on you and depending on you. And so all I can say is just really beautiful what you said, and everyone on this call is just so lucky to have you as a leader, that kind of leader that you are, because a lot of people have good intentions, but it just takes somebody with a very unique character and sense of integrity to really step up and just stand strong and firm on certain things, and this of the buying in being one of them, Pramela. So I'm just so, wow, I'm just so happy you answered my email 3 months ago, because it's just so awesome to be able to be coached by you. And I have an incredible team and upline. Trust me, I do. It's just like, wow.
We're in this together, collective consciousness, right?
Yeah.
And you're so right. And thank you for, giving me a little bit of redirection, that buying in, there are exceptions to the rule. And when you realize that you're doing this, when you buy in for someone else, more so than for you, it's the right choice. So let me tell you a little bit more about that. How I told you that my upline called me while I was on my way to Utah and said, "You're $120 away from gold. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm eating granola bars and I have no money. I'm getting to convention. I cannot do anything right now. I can try making some phone calls. I can try something, but I'm tapped out. I don't have it. And it's okay. I came this close. I'll get it next month. I got this next month." Well, what my upline did was he placed an order of $120. for me to hit gold. You know what? I'm not his qualifying leg. I'm not. Me hitting gold is
Mm,
for him,
nice.
not
Nice.
for him.
Wow.
When people walk on stage, you know, I was very introverted and I didn't even want to go up. I was there at convention and I'm like, I'm not going to go up on a stage. I am going to die. I'm going to faint. You know, who knew that 2 years later I was going to stand in front of like thousands of people and speak, right? But I couldn't even walk up in a crowd to get my gold, you know, thing. He walked with me. That's a leader. That's love. That's accountability.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Brian Tess was accountable in the truth of who he was as a leader, as a human being, and that translated into the compassion and the presence to understand that this is what he needed to do for somebody so far in his downline, for her to be seen. And he didn't care what, you know, what people thought. He walked with me on stage so that I would have the courage to take this thing. Accountability, if you do it because of you, is beautiful. It's beautiful. Don't be accountable. I'm not saying don't just be accountable for other people or for the stakes that are put on the table. Learn how to be accountable in every moment in your life for you, and you will be unshakable.
Yeah. Yes.
Gladiator.
Yeah.
So awesome. Deb, I know you had your hand raised. Can I come to you? You have something you wanted to say? Deb Mortimer. Hi, good morning.
Hi. No, as always, you've given me so much to think about, and I'm realizing I'm a very late bloomer, and I think I always do things for other people, and there's always so much that needs doing that I do them without as much thought as I should, and without thinking about what it's doing to me. And I'm sitting here thinking, how much better could I do those things that I feel like I need to do if I just took a minute to think about why I'm doing it and what I actually need to do instead of just reacting.
Awesome. Yes. Seasons of change.
Yes.
Nancy Porter, can I ask you some feedback and some of your thoughts on what you think of this call today? Nancy,
I am. Can you hear me? Can you? I just want to make sure you guys can hear me.
yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. I'm kind of blown away because I'm in California, so it's like 8 o'clock here. So that's why you guys can't see me because I'm in my robe and haven't even brushed my hair. But gosh, what a wonderful thing to listen to as soon as you wake up in the morning. Because I do have a very young team. I'm silver, but my girls that are elite, they struggle every single month. And, I resonate with, I think it was, her name was Debbie, who said she reacts and doesn't put a lot of thought into what all these actions she's taking every day. And I catch myself doing that too. And when I do, I feel the seasons change because something will hit me and I'll say, you know what? Today is about me. Today I need to take care of myself. Today I can't answer every text message. I can't answer every phone call. I can't do all of that. I've got to replenish myself. So I appreciate the fact that I think everything in this call today turned around to your accountability is towards yourself. And I am a mother to 5 children. So believe me, when mommy's having a bad day, we're all having a bad day. And that's a lot of people to have a bad day under one roof with 5 kids. So, gosh, I just really appreciated everybody's stance on this. I hit silver in February, and I will tell you guys that I have not hit silver again since. And that's because I won't buy in. Because I want this to happen authentic.
Mm-hmm.
So I remain premier, you know, technically every month, but my goal every day is to get up and act like a diamond. Because that's my behavior, my attitude, my stance, my posture, my positivity. I know that at some point that's going to fill the gaps in my team financially. And I'm blessed with a really amazing upline as well. And they support my decisions to not do, you know, things to make my rank continue to happen every month, or to rank advance to gold by doing something that maybe isn't quite, you know, ethical, because those things come out. People will say, well, if you did this or you did that, then, you know, this rank advance would happen for you. That's not why I'm here. I left a job for the fact that job did not line up with my moral convictions. And I am living in faith with my children on a very low income, because I have a dream of living my authentic life through the path that doTERRA offers us. So the whole accountability, there's such a foundation for me for the month of September, especially going to convention on very little funds with 4 girls who are on very little funds. And I told all of them, I said, it doesn't matter how much money we have to go with. Let's just go and have the experience and enjoy ourselves and do some self-care while we're there.
Absolutely.
So thank you for calling on me.
You're welcome. And I'm always very excited to see your name. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, like I said, you know, you roar like a diamond and honor the premier that you are. Be the best version of a premier that you can be, and roar like a diamond, and you will get there. I know you will, and you will get there in a way that when people look at you, you inspire them, because you make it so that they understand that they can do it too. You know, there's no way that people will aspire to hit diamond or blue diamond or presidential diamond if the mode is a buy-in. Because for most people, they can't. I mean, look at me. I couldn't even buy gold at $120. You know, I mean, like, that was my reality. I'm like, that close to gold. People will do the math and go like, gold versus silver, $150 versus $750, no brainer, right? If you do the math. I didn't have the math. I could do the math, but I didn't have the math, right? So you have to if you want your team to aspire, then you have to make it so that they can do it. That is accountability to your team. Being true and being real and being gritty and being capable of doing difficult things and practicing that difficulty daily is accountability. It's the best accountability for your team. It's not about posting daily. It's not about holding calls and not about, you know, like texting and being there and being frantic. It's the pace of grace with which you lead by example. It's the pace of grace. You know, it's not about pushing them into a place of discomfort, of a place of unreality. Do not go where the unicorns live. It's not real. Not real. So accountability is about being real, about setting real expectations for the real reasons. And the only reason is you. And I don't mean it in a selfish way. It is the most unselfish thing that you can do to be accountable to yourself. It is the most unselfish thing you can do. It is the biggest service to everybody involved. So thank you all so very much for joining me today. I had an awesome time with you. And I love you, and I hope you see it, and I hope you feel it. I do this because I do. It is real, it is true. And my accountability is to myself because I feel called to sit with you, because I find a piece of myself in the process as well. And before I leave, I want to let you guys know that I do have a great program coming up soon. It's called The Convention Within. It is for all of you who cannot go to convention or able to go to convention. I will be holding some mentoring calls, because just because you can't go to convention doesn't mean you can't have a convention. So I hope you have a great week, and I hope you practice being accountable to yourself and practice finding ways to identify how the things that you feel you need to do each day all comes back to you and who you are. Find it. And remember that the more accountable you are to who you are, and the more accountable you are to yourself, that accountability and that truth will reflect in how you're accountable to others. And when your accountability is to yourself, the outcome and the lack of accountability that other people have toward you will never change you. Armor up. Let's go. Have a great week. Thank you all very much.